Hold on now. You mean to tell me that a New York City mayor who welcomed immigrants beforehand, has seen what it can do at a massive scale, says that's going to destroy his city, then gets raided by the FBI because the country of Turkey got him elected? And I'm supposed to believe this? Let's just backtrack for 1 minute here, just in case you have forgotten exactly how bad the border was before any of this went down with New York City.
Chanting liberty in Spanish, a large migrant caravan stretching some 3 miles long departs southern Mexico, undeterred by bad weather.
This for us is nothing. It can rain, it can thunder, nobody will stop us.
Mexican National Guard line the road, not stopping their march. Organizers say it's nearly 10,000 strong, with 80% of the migrants from Venezuela.
You can't live in that country anymore.
Caravan leader Luis Villagran tells Fox News they have a message for President Biden.
We also want to tell President Joe Biden to sit down with the Latin America countries to see what is happening.
It's been 3 years since a caravan made it to the U.S.-Mexico border, but the prospect has officials concerned.
When we see these large caravans, these kids and unaccompanied children that are coming across, the cartels are using that to divert those resources.
Texas DPS Lieutenant Chris Olivares already has his hands full pursuing migrants who seek to evade apprehension. It's a cat and mouse game. Authorities able to see images from trap cameras like this one, hoping then to follow it up with a capture. Otherwise, they become a known getaway, as the numbers here are surging. In the last 7 days in the Rio Grande Valley sector, 10,278 encounters, 722 gotaways. And despite the rising temperatures, there's little sign it's slowing down.
It's constant every single morning, every single day, and it's been increasing every single day.
As for the caravan's progress, they only made it about 10 miles north of where they began in Tapachula, and it's made more difficult because they have more than 2,000 children in it. But the organizer says they'll be back at it again tomorrow, starting at dawn. In Hidalgo, Texas, Griff Jenkins, Fox News.
Then Texas Governor Greg Abbott took a page out of the Biden administration's book and started busing these migrants all over the country to these sanctuary cities that were so proud of their sanctuary status, just as Eric Adams was.
Fewer migrants should come into the United States, and should a migrant still feel welcome in New York?
I think that anyone that's fleeing persecution, that is fleeing violence, the history of this country has always been tied to welcoming those who are fleeing harm. And that is the spirit of this country. It must be done in an organized way. I think it's imperative that a national problem must be solved by the national government. And I believe that we will always be responsible as New Yorkers to make sure whoever comes here, we're going to do our job, and that's what we have done. I think that New York has been a role model on how to effectively use our infrastructure to address a crisis and make sure we treat people in a humane way. And that's what we have done, and how we address these national problems that is far greater than what I can answer.
That it came to a point to where he was actually receiving 10,000 immigrants a month. They were put up in luxury hotels while they were being processed, while the New York citizens barely scraped by to live in a broom closet.
Well, New York City's migrant crisis has reached an eye-popping new milestone. There are actually now more people seeking asylum in our city shelters than there are homeless New Yorkers. Today, News 4's Melissa Russo got an exclusive look inside the first stop for new arrivals. We're talking about the Roosevelt Hotel Processing Center, Melissa.
Yeah, Natalie, walking into that large waiting room today at the Roosevelt Hotel in Midtown, it was hard not to be struck by the magnitude of this migration crisis, shouldered almost entirely by the New York City taxpayers, but also you're struck by the humanity.
So walking through these doors every day, more than 400 people per day.
It's one thing to hear the numbers. It's another to see today's newcomers all in one place. Little ones wiped out after walking for months to the border, then riding for days on a bus. Leonardo from Venezuela says his kids are happy to be here after crossing so many rivers and rocks in the jungle. And to already have a new pair of shoes.
My heart breaks a little bit, and I have these conflicting feelings.
Deputy Mayor Ann Williams-Isom says she's proud of the care the city is offering, but sad that it's unsustainable. Over the weekend, the city reached a critical tipping point for their already jam-packed shelters. The 49,700 homeless New Yorkers in shelter now outnumbered by 50,000 asylum seekers.
Right now, the city is taking care of close to 100,000 people in this system with no end in sight.
We've done so many vaccinations at the arrival center here that we've almost exhausted the vaccine supplies that we've had.
The Roosevelt Hotel in Midtown offers medical and mental health screenings, rooms to more than 800 families with children, and a way station of sorts for new arrivals who have the potential to depart from New York.
And to help you to establish your goals and to see what we can do as a city to help you get there and to give you that critical period of time to enable us to get through to those friends or family members across the country and then to rebook you so that you don't have to enter our city system.
But many migrants don't have friends or family here, and the city is not saying how many of the roughly 400 who come in each day have been rerouted somewhere else.
I became a citizen since 1980. I didn't come that way. I passed through the right channel. Why don't them pass through the right channel? They should secure the border.
New Yorkers concerned and surprised by news of the tipping point, the burden almost entirely on city taxpayers.
It's surprising because I feel like maybe it's kind of happened very quickly, and the homeless crisis has been prevalent for a long time, so it sounds like it's a big issue and they need to figure out what to do.
After 1 month here, Ava says they've given her everything she needs for her 3-month-old daughter. Her husband Elkin says the treatment has been excellent. He says we appreciate the mayor of the city of New York.
And the asylum seekers that we stopped randomly there outside the Roosevelt Hotel on the street, all giving excellent reviews of the care they're getting today. That has not always been the case in the past year or so. The city and Legal Aid Society are in talks right now as the mayor's office and the city are preparing to ask a court to give them more flexibility in the right to shelter. David?
Our government affairs reporter, Melissa Russo. Thank you, Melissa.
As funding for the New York migrant crisis increased over time, Mayor Adams became worried and then had this to say about it.
At 11 now, Mayor Adams more passionate than we've seen about the asylum seeker crisis. As more buses arrived at Port Authority today, the mayor says the city is severely impacted by the influx of migrants. Speaking at a town hall meeting tonight on the Upper West Side, the mayor said that he doesn't see an end to this problem as the city is not getting enough support from the federal government.
This issue will destroy New York City. Destroy New York City. We're getting 10,000 migrants a month. Now we're getting people from all over the globe have made their minds up that they're going to come through the southern part of the border and come into New York City.
The mayor says the city currently supporting 110,000 asylum seekers that have arrived in the 5 boroughs since April of 2022.
And then roughly a month after that, the FBI raised the staffers of Eric Adams because the country of Turkey got him elected by giving him upgraded flights when he flew on Turkish Airlines.
We're following some breaking news, a sprawling federal investigation tonight focusing on senior officials in New York City Mayor Adams' administration. Agents searched the homes of several top aides and they subpoenaed the cell phones of top NYPD officials. And tonight, we get reaction from the mayor himself. And good evening to you. At 6 o'clock, I'm Liz Chow.
And I'm Bill Ritter. We begin with the expanding investigation into top aides of the mayor. FBI agents yesterday raiding the homes of Phil Banks, deputy mayor of public safety, and deputy mayor Sheena Wright. She's the partner of schools chancellor David Banks. Phil Banks is his brother.
And it doesn't end there. The phones of Police Commissioner Edward Caban and 6 other NYPD officials have been subpoenaed tonight. The feds also want the phone of Adams advisor Tim Pearson. The question tonight is exactly what are federal prosecutors looking for?
Eyewitness News reporter NJ Barton live at City Hall, where he talked this afternoon to the mayor. Newt.
And right, Bill, it does not get any higher than the first deputy mayor of the city of New York and the NYPD commissioner. But to be clear, no one, not the mayor, not anyone in his administration, has been accused or charged with any wrongdoing. But these latest raids and subpoenas now reach deep into City Hall.
I'm not aware of any wrongdoing or misgivings from anyone on my team, and we're going to continue to cooperate.
Mayor Adams insists tonight that he's confident, despite a new series of FBI raids reaching into the highest levels of his administration.
The final analysis is going to be done. I think that I have not done anything wrong. I've said that over and over again.
Sources confirmed to Eyewitness News tonight that FBI agents raided the homes and City Hall offices of his first deputy mayor, Sheena Wright, and Phil Banks, his deputy mayor for public safety. Banks' home in Queens was searched at dawn yesterday, as well as Ms. Wright's home in Upper Manhattan. Those same sources also confirm that agents with subpoenas searched the office of NYPD Commissioner Edward Caban, seizing his phones as well as phones and electronics of half a dozen other police officials. The exact nature of the investigation could not be confirmed late this afternoon, and it was not clear whom is being targeted by the Justice Department. However, sources say that the raids are unrelated to an ongoing investigation into Mayor Adams' 2021 campaign. Those questions date back to November, when FBI agents raided the home of the mayor's chief fundraiser, part of an investigation into whether the 2021 campaign received donations and illegal gifts from citizens and government officials in Turkey. FBI agents have already seized the mayor's phones as part of that investigation.
Does that alarm you that it may be taking on another dimension? And if not, why not?
I think the most important thing that I must do is to send the right message to my team and all the employees in the city. We're going to comply with whatever rules, and we're going to follow the law.
Veteran political consultant Hank Scheinkoff says the stakes for the mayor are high.
Either this is the greatest corruption scandal since the third Koch administration, which is the most corrupt administration since Jimmy Walker, or it's nothing. That's what we're going to be seeing over the next few months.
Well, there's been no comment so far from any of those subpoenaed this week. No comment tonight from the U.S. Justice Department. Now, whether the mayor is a target of this latest investigation, and it appears for the moment he is not, this is not a good look for the administration with just over a year to go before the election. Live tonight at City Hall, NJ Burkett, Channel 7, Eyewitness News.
Eric Adams is facing 5 separate criminal counts, including conspiracy to commit wire fraud, federal program bribery, and to receive campaign contributions by foreign nationals. Wire fraud, 2 counts of solicitation for a contribution by a foreign national, and bribery. According to the 57-page indictment, Adams is alleged to have accepted more than $100,000 in luxury travel, including hotel stays, lavish meals, and airplane upgrades, from Turkish nationals beginning in 2016, when he still served as president of New York Borough of Brooklyn. In one instance, for example, Adams is alleged to have received a heavily discounted stay at the Bentley Room for Istanbul's St. Regis Hotel, paying $600 for a 2-day visit that was valued at approximately $7,000. Additionally, Adams is alleged to have sought out campaign contributions from Turkish sources for his 2021 mayoral election campaign. None of this was publicly declared, and prosecutors claimed Adams used straw donors to hide the sources of the money, and at times created fake paper trails that suggested he paid or intended to pay for the gifts. Now look, even if this was a thing for a while, even if they had been investigating, even if they had already lined up everything way beforehand, it's very, very suspicious that this comes roughly a month after he lets go of the messaging and tells his people, his constituents, and the entire world that this immigrant crisis that we are actually coming across here in the United States will destroy New York City, because he's getting $10,000 a month, up to and including now they have more migrants than they do the homeless in our homeless shelters.
We have to feed,
clothe, house, educate 40,000 children, hold them into a shelter system, the complete package of what you would do for an adult that can't take care of themselves.
And so you tell the president and his aides this, and what do they say?
Basically, be a good Democrat, Eric.
Be a good Democrat?
That was the basic overall theme. One of his aides told me that, listen, this is like a gallstone. It'll pass.
It's like a gallstone, it'll pass.
Yes. It'll hurt now, but it'll pass.
Well, you pee it out then. Right. Why do you have to?
Well said.
So the man stepped out of party lines as far as the narrative goes, and the Biden administration, being publicly embarrassed, tried to throw this man in prison. And now as Donald Trump comes into office, he sees all these things and he demands that the DOJ dismiss all these charges because, in all intents and purposes, this does look like a political hit job just because he got out of line and embarrassed the Biden administration, on the same administration who was telling you that the border crisis was a right-wing conspiracy theory for years. The same administration who took all of your supplies and shoved them to the border for these immigrants that were coming through. You remember the baby formula shortage? All of that happened under the Biden administration. This man stepped out of the party lines and said, hey, this is a problem. And the FBI raids him and his staffers.
The Justice Department ordering federal prosecutors to drop corruption charges against New York City Mayor Eric Adams. Good evening. Thanks for being with us. I'm Steve Lacey.
And I'm Natasha Verma. The order ending months of speculation about the future of Mayor Adams' bribery case. The order laid out in this 2-page memo from the DOJ obtained by Fox 5 directs prosecutors to dismiss the charges without prejudice against the mayor. Of course, this comes after he was indicted back in September, accused of accepting perks and campaign contributions in exchange for influence.
So the judge in this case actually asked, hey, why are you dropping these charges? Why do you want them dropped? What's going on here?
The federal judge overseeing the corruption case against New York City Mayor Eric Adams held a hearing today about the Trump Justice Department's sudden decision to drop the case. That reversal prompted 7 federal prosecutors to resign in protest last week and has further plunged the mayor's administration into turmoil. Our William Brangham was in the courtroom today and joins us now. So, William, what was the judge trying to determine today?
Jeff, it was this incredibly striking scene for a federal courthouse. On one side of the room, you had the prosecutors, in this case, the U.S. Department of Justice. And on the other side, at the defendant's table, was the mayor of New York City. And in this case, they both wanted the exact same thing, which is for this very serious corruption case against the mayor to simply go away. And the judge in this case, Judge Dale Ho, wanted to know why. And so he peppered a series of questions to the Deputy Attorney General, Emil Bovee, about why he drops the case. And Bovee made the argument that he's made in the past, that this was not about the merits of the case. Instead, he argued that this case was brought for political reasons, because Adams once criticized President Biden, and that this case impinged on Adams' ability to do his job, specifically to enforce immigration laws. And it was that argument that set off this revolt that you mentioned and all these resignations. In fact, one of those resigned prosecutors alleged that there was a quid pro quo here, that Adams had been told, we'll drop this case if you get on board with Trump's immigration crackdown. So that's what happened today.
Did the judge get into the substance of that quid pro quo allegation?
He did. He put the mayor under oath and asked him very specifically, were you offered anything in exchange for this case going away? Were you threatened at all? The mayor said he was not. What the judge does with that information is unclear. The judge was very clear that he only has a pretty narrow lane here. I mean, the prosecutors have said, we don't want this case to go forward. It seems hard to understand how the judge could force them to prosecute this case. So the judge said, look, he wasn't going to shoot from the hip. He did not issue a ruling on this today. He asked for some patience going forward.
So even if this case goes away, William, there are still questions about Mayor Adams' political future. Isn't that right?
That's exactly right. The governor of New York, Democrat Kathy Hochul, has said she has the power to remove him, and she's debating whether or not to do that. She had meetings all day yesterday with state and local officials, consulting with them about this. For senior members of the mayor's staff and deputy mayors quit this week. It's hard to overstate how much turmoil there is in the mayor's office right now. Mayor Adams has said all along he's innocent, he's going to stay in this, and he's going to run for re-election. But now it's up to the governor to determine whether or not he can.
Certainly more to come. William Brangham in New York City for us tonight. William, thank you.
Now, to me, it does seem clear this was a political head job because he actually stepped out of line in the whole messaging and said this immigrant thing, it's actually a problem. They're getting more than we are, and we're getting $10,000 a month, and it's just breaking us. The Biden administration told him to suck it up. You got this. It'll all pass. Don't worry about it. And then he was raided by the FBI. And all these charges about how the country of Turkey got him elected to the mayor of New York City. I'm just going to go ahead and finish this off right here by giving you this little nugget. Jamie Raskin actually admitted it in a congressional hearing. Check this out.
Thank you kindly, Mr. Chairman. One of our colleagues referred to the weaponization of the DOJ and specifically focused on the January 6th defendants. That startled me because 140 American police officers were violently assaulted on that day, wounded, hospitalized, some of them disfigured, disabled, forced to leave police work. But he said that there would have been a better use of FBI and prosecutorial and investigative resources, and I wonder what he was referring to. And in any event, Dr. Hunt, do you agree with that assessment?
Thank you for that question. January 6th shocked and horrified me. That was a shameful day, not least because of the many attacks on our law enforcement officers. So any suggestion that is a low priority and should not be investigated is shocking to me. I can't imagine a more important devotion of resources by the FBI to anyone who would attack our nation's capital.
Some of our colleagues have again been going back to the idea that the Biden FBI was converted into some kind of political instrument. When I look at the prosecutions that come out of it, I'm thinking about the one of Senator Bob Menendez from New Jersey, who's a Democrat, of Henry Cuellar, who's a Democrat, lots of other Democrats. Other than Donald Trump, I really can't think of any others on the Republican side, and I'm just getting the feeling that they think Donald Trump really should be above and beyond the law. And that's what this whole weaponization thing is about, other than setting the conditions to turn it into an instrument of revenge and retribution, as Donald Trump has promised. Do you think the FBI was acting as an instrument of partisanship in the last administration?
I can only speak from my personal experience, and I can say this. When I was an FBI agent, the men and women that I worked with, they based their investigations on facts and law. They based their investigations on predication. The worry I have is with respect to corruption today. When there's selective enforcement, and just as a regular American citizen, I'm not an insider now, when I see a high-level politician and charges are dropped, and there's no reason, I, as an American citizen, don't understand why that's the case.
You're referring to Mayor Adams.
That's correct.
But there was a reason, which was he agreed to play on Donald Trump's political team, and the very Republican, conservative U.S. attorney for the Southern District said nothing had changed in terms of the facts of the case, nothing had changed in terms of the law, nothing changed in terms of the evidence. All that had changed was that he'd made this political alignment with Donald Trump. She resigned rather than participate in that corrupt bargain.
Now, in all fairness, Jamie Raskin was trying to say that the reason why the charges were dropped is because he played along with Trump. He got a quid pro quo from Trump. Now, sorry, that's not the way it is. That's not the way it's going to be. What actually came about was he stepped out of line in this situation, embarrassed the Biden administration. Biden administration tried to throw him in prison. Trump said, this is political warfare about this. Let's make this go away. And even the staffers were quitting. Why? Because they knew it was trumped up, and if they stayed along, they'd had actually been in a lot more trouble. I'm sorry, with these people, they should be held to a higher standard. Being afraid of losing a job should not be the only thing that stops you from doing corrupt things. Let's just be honest. That's the way it is. But ladies and gentlemen, I will go ahead and thank every single one of you that have watched this all the way through. Go ahead and follow us, turn on all those notifications, hit that like, do everything with the YouTube kind of thing. We got to do this now. Follow along with us as we actually bring these hearings live. It'll just be me listening to the hearings, and it will make your blood boil. But every Tuesday and Thursday night at 8 p.m., ladies and gentlemen, we will always be live where me and Davey just, we squirrel out and go nuts and just talk about things. Follow along with us. We got a lot to do.